Okay, today we're going to change out a power steering pump. We're going to have to take the old pulley off the old pump and put it on the new pump. Now, the order of the things that we're going to do here, this video is not going to be in the correct order. You may see that I'm bouncing around a lot. Here we're putting in the hose that goes in before we take out the pump. At the end, you'll see that we changed the thermostat. While we were doing this whole job, we did the thermostat. So please watch the whole video, but remember, it's not in the correct order. We're just going to show you as much as we can and give you as much tips as we can to help you and know what you're getting into. When you change one of these, I just want you to know what you're getting into.
Hose right here.
Thank you. And right now, putting in the new hose. That has to be done before you put the pump in. It's a little tight, kind of hard to get to, but you just have to work it in. Again, that's the old hose. That's the old power steering pump that has to be taken back to the store for the deposit. And that's the new power steering pump that already has the pulley on it. Now, the majority of the time, this power steering hose right here, this metal one, is the one that's normally leaking most of the time. Not always, but, and right over there, that part there is what's leaking. So it's good to replace this. But what happened once we got in here and we found out that we also saw that it was leaking. You could visually see it leaking from the old power steering pump. So again, but it's good to go ahead and replace, while you're doing it, replace the hose, replace the pump. You do it all at the same time. Saves you a lot of trouble in the future, because if you go ahead and replace the pump and not this one, in 6 months you could be doing the same thing, replacing this 6 months later.
As you guys can see.
Okay, so that's the pressure hose?
Yeah, that's the pressure hose. I am going to be removing it right now. It's not leaking, but now that I'm there, now that I'm this far in, it would be smart to replace it, because if it goes dead or if it starts leaking in half a year, I would have to do the same process, which is removing the AC compressor, removing the serpentine belt, and the thermostat housing. So I got to remove it right now and put the new one in, which is this one right here. So that's, like that, I'll avoid any future
so that's the new
issues.
Hose?
Yeah, there's a new hose.
So first, before you put the pump in, you're going to put that new hose in.
Yeah, I'm going to put this new hose, and then I'm going to put the pump in.
Okay.
Assemble it.
So that goes first. Okay, good.
Before you do put the pump back, always make sure remove the seals, like the remanufacturing seals. They just put like little screws, like temporary screws.
Oh, that's a temporary screw.
So no dust will go in there and damage the pump. So pretty much remove these, because if you remove these, once it's in there, just get these out of there.
Yeah.
Like different pumps come with different applications. This one just came with this one.
So you just throw that? Is that like a throwaway? You just throw
Yeah,
it away?
it's just a throwaway. It's just they just put it there so
Yeah,
keep the dust out. So take it off, and then you're set to go. That's where your new, that's where your power pressure hose is gonna go to.
Okay, and there's only one hose that fixes. Only one hose goes in there, right?
There's only one pressure hose, and then there's one return hose.
Okay,
so
the
that's
extra.
pretty much it. That's it. Alrighty,
Are
so
we
we're
ready to put it in?
Yeah. Clean this out of the way.
The old one. There's the old one.
And it's easy to remove it, So now you got the pulley off the old one, and since like I said earlier, since the new one does not come with the new pulley, you have to remove your old one and put it on.
Sure.
Now it does not fit like this. That same pulley remover that you actually got from the AutoZone, it also has the pushing, the reverse mode of it. So pretty much you use the same pulley to push this back in. It will not be done by hand. Now you could hammer it, but it's recommended that you don't, because you're gonna bust in your power steering pump from inside. So you got to push it in with pressure and steady pressure.
If you use a rubber mallet, you could damage the pump.
You damage the pump. Yes.
So that's why the pulley remover is so important, even for installation.
Yep. That's it.
Okay, so now we're going to put the pulley remover extractor on there.
So it's this piece right here.
There it is.
In order to push it, so pretty much you see this, right? This goes into the pulley, which is this right here. It has some thread in there.
Right.
So you push this in, but you know, with the pulley on top of that, which is this right here.
Right.
So you screw it on. Once you have the pulley in, you're gonna screw it on there,
And just push the pulley on.
and then you just push this down.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll just film you there. It's we can see how it's just gonna push it down. How? I guess you get by experience. You know how far to push it down, or you'll know
You'll know when this thing does no longer turns.
when it no longer turns.
Yeah.
You'll feel it where it won't turn no
you
more.
gotta push it all the way.
You gotta go all the way.
Yeah, all the way. You'll feel when it's not going anymore. So,
Okay.
I mean, there's no way you can't go wrong. You know, as long as you have the right parts and the right piece to put it in and take it out,
And as long
you'll
as
be fine.
You cannot go wrong by as long as you tighten it up
Yeah.
as far as it'll go without breaking it.
Yep. So here we go. So you see now again, you got to get the right piece for everything. You see this is the same width at the beginning, at the top, but at the end is different. So pretty much you got to get the right one. You know, so for this job, you actually need the thinner one, the one that has the thinner tip. You know, this one won't do. It's got to be this one. Again, this comes in the set.
It's all part of the set.
Yeah, so you should be fine as long as you get the right set.
But the bolt that took it off is different than the one you're gonna put it
Yes,
on.
yes. It was this piece right here that took it off.
That's the one that took it off.
Yeah.
And of course the one putting it on is a little thinner. Now, when does these Lincolns have a special power steering fluid? They have a. Is it or is it the same?
This is a regular .3.
.3.
Yeah.
That's the
It
same
should be
you
fine.
use for a Chevy also.
Yep.
Of
GM
.3.
motors, yeah, same for GM motors.
Now remember, this is how you put the pulley back on the new reconditioned power steering pump. We're doing this manually. We're putting the old pulley on the new pump.
See this gap right here?
Okay, you got a gap?
Yeah, you see this gap right here?
Okay.
It's gonna start closing in slowly. You know?
So you'll be able to feel it when it...
That's why you don't want to hit it. He has to do it slowly, because if you hit it, you'll damage.
Yeah, you'll damage the seals internally. You don't want to do it.
So you basically know when you'll just feel it, it'll be tough, it'll stop turning, right?
Yeah, it'll stop turning when you're done.
So like you say, it is kind of, don't worry too much. When it stops turning, you're there.
The only bad thing is they didn't have the pulley, so we're going to put the old pulley in. We should have put a new pulley, but they didn't have one, so we're going to hope it doesn't break.
Yeah.
Your pulley's not going to break.
You'd be surprised.
Pulleys break? I don't think so. Not very often.
Sometimes they will, you know, but like more like they'll waste.
Oh, okay. You wear away, huh?
Yeah, they'll wear away, but.
So
The Serpentine belt will break a lot more, right?
Oh yeah, the Serpentine belt. We're replacing the power steering pump, the pressure hose, the belt.
so this is a good time. You definitely change the belt
Right.
at a time like this.
Also, in this case, you also I would also suggest that you replace the thermostat. To replace the pump, this actually gets on the way to get two top screws.
So you had to take the thermostat out.
The thermostat housing.
The housing. That's the thermostat housing.
Yeah.
And that's the top or the bottom hose.
This is the upper hose. That's
Upper
what I'm
hose.
holding like this. It goes like that.
So that's the upper hose.
And the lower hose connects to this, and then you got the heater hose. Like
So that all had to come out first, also to be
all
able to
this,
get to
the AC compressor and all that. Yeah.
So, and like you say, since it's out, you might as well change your thermostat.
Yeah.
Is that what you recommend?
Because in order to replace a thermostat, you're looking at the same amount of labor.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So on a job like this, you're going to change the Serpentine belt, the thermostat, and of course you need to change the power steering
No,
pump.
that's not the Serpentine belt.
Oh, no, the Serpentine belt is right here.
Yeah, you're gonna. But it's this would be a good time to change the belt, wouldn't it?
Well, you're already there, but it's not as critical as this. This will be the critical
This
part.
is more critical.
I mean, now that you're there, you know, because this usually has to be replaced every let's say every 10,000, 15,000 miles. Or I mean, if you don't use your car that often or you don't run it too much.
So that's more critical, the thermostat. But
Yes,
No.
this is more critical.
but the Serpentine belt, there's a few more steps to get the Serpentine belt.
Yeah. No, the Serpentine belt's easy. you
Easy?
know?
Yeah.
No, I'm just going through what we're replacing now. You know.
Okay.
It's almost there.
So it's almost on there, huh?
About a quarter to go. Again, if I had my power tool, I mean, I do have it, but it's dead.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I showed you guys.
Sure. So you,
There we
if
go.
your power tool is working, of course, this goes a lot quicker.
Oh,
But we're doing it by hand. That's okay.
You know.
A lot of people watching may not have a power tool, so it'd be good to
know how to do it without it. Yeah.
exactly.
Alrighty.
So it's almost on.
So it's almost on. It's almost in. There you go. I think we got it.
So there it's on, huh?
That's it. Once you get to the top, you know, to the top, it won't turn anymore.
Yeah, right there you can't feel it.
That's it. That's as far as it goes. So you're done. You know?
So that's on there now.
So once you're done, you untighten it the other way around.
Just reverse the process by taking it off.
And that's it.
And that's it. So the pulley's on.
Pulley's on. And that's what it should look like at the end.
Right,
Surfaced. You see that?
right there, really nice and clean, huh?
Yep, that's it.
So now it's ready to go on.
It's ready to go on. Oh, yeah. There we go.
So we're in the front of the car. So this is the position you'll be under the car, and we're going to go ahead and put the new power steering pump in. And there's 4 bolts that hold it in, right?
Yep.
4 bolts. And then you got the lower hose and the upper hose, right?
Right.
And that's all there is to it, right?
That's pretty much it, man.
Okay, so 4 bolts hold it in, an upper and a lower hose. And then you have to put the air conditioning unit back on, right?
That's it.
What do you put back first? You put the belt on first, or you do the air conditioning?
The belt? No, the AC. You got to put everything before the belt.
So you put that AC thing back on first before the belt.
You got to put everything before the belt.
So that is the power. Is that a reconditioned power steering pump?
Yeah, that's a recondition, man.
Reconditioned?
You know, but it's just as good as long as they
Sure, yeah.
give you that warranty, you know.
What do they give you? Like a 1-year warranty?
Yeah, like a 2-year warranty.
Or 2-year? Yeah. So that's a power steering pump for a Lincoln Continental.
2000 Lincoln Continental.
A 2000 Lincoln Continental.
Yeah, it's the V8.
V8.
You see? It's the V8 4.6.
4.6. So the first thing you do what's the first thing you do on a project like this?
Well, first thing I did was remove the AC compressor, you know, in order to be able to get to it. Had to remove the wheel so we can have access to the frame that covered up the side. And then I removed the belt. I mean, the belt for all the pulleys. As soon as I was done with the pulleys, I mean, removing the AC compressor.
And the shroud, you had to remove the
Right,
shroud
the
first.
shroud, yeah, right. So then I removed the AC compressor, the lines that came with it, that thing that you see right there, you know, and I had to remove it completely in order to get to this pump.
Right.
There's no other way.
So the hardest part is getting to the pump.
Yes, that's the hardest part.
So you take the front passenger wheel off, and then
Yeah.
you take the belt off and remove the air conditioning components.
Right.
And then how many bolts are holding down the power steering pump? How many bolts?
4 of them.
You got 4 bolts?
Yeah, you got 4. You got this one.
Neat.
This is the position in which the pump was in. It's this position like this. So that's the way you're gonna be looking at them.
Okay.
You know, there's gonna be a pressure hose down right underneath the backside, right here.
Oh, so there's a pressure hose there.
That's the pressure hose.
So you got 4 bolts and the pressure hose.
Yeah.
So getting to it's the major problem.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And right now, you about halfway through the job?
Yeah, you can say about halfway. Right now I'm just trying to get the pulley off.
Uh-huh.
As soon as I'm done removing the pulley, I will push it into the other one, into the new power steering pump.
So right now we're going to remove the pulley from the unit. Now, why do you have to remove the pulley?
Because the new one didn't come with it. So.
Okay, I see. The new.
He has to replace the pulley.
Oh, there's the new pump on the left. Right there is the new pump, and that's the old one. So we have to remove the pulley and put it on the new pump.
I'm doing this manually. The other way would be to do it with the power tool, you know, but mine just died, so.
Oh, your power tool died?
Yeah.
So this makes it a lot harder, huh?
Yeah. Itself, in order to put it on, I got to put it on base. Like the screw is the one that pushes down as the thing pulls up.
Uh-huh.
You know, so that's pretty much the only way.
I do have a vise.
So if you had your power tool, this would come off. How quickly you think it would come off? With the power?
Yeah, like in 2 minutes.
In about 2 minutes. Whereas if you're doing it manually here, it could take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Did it just come off?
No.
No?
Okay, so.
WT-40, you want some? Would that help?
That would help, yes.
Let me get some.
Okay. It's almost out.
Now we have to rent these from the
Oh, yeah,
automotive
the
shop.
pulley?
You can't. Well, you can buy them, but we.
You know, if you don't have a pulley puller, like there's different ones for different models, you know.
Oh, so you rented the pulley puller?
Yeah, at AutoZone.
Well, how much they charge you for that?
$40. I mean, but they return full money, give you full money back. As soon as you're done with it, you just take it back. As long as your dog doesn't chew on it, which obviously can't be chewed by a dog, right? But
Also, it doesn't really cost much. They give you the $40 back, right?
they give you your full money back. So
Also, they really don't rent it. You just
borrow it.
borrow it,
Yeah.
and as long as you don't damage it, they give you the deposit back.
Yes.
Of course, but you need this pulley puller, and it looks like it's about coming off, huh?
Yeah, it's almost there, man. That power to really set it off.
Do they want the old power steering pump?
Yes, there's a $25 core charge on for the old power steering pump.
Okay, so when you take the old power steering pump back and get your core charge back,
All right.
you go ahead and give them back the pulley remover.
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to be, this job is going to be about the same on all these Lincolns, or do you think it's going to change?
Yeah, most Lincolns for the same motor.
Most Lincolns.
Yeah.
It's going to be about the same process.
Yep. It should be for the same for the Lincoln LS, the 2000 Lincoln LS, or Chevy. Most Chevy motors from 1998, 2002.
What size is that wrench in your left hand?
It's 13/16.
13/16 is the.
Yeah.
And is the socket the same size?
The socket, it's a 5/8.
5/8 socket.
Well, that's
So you need a 5/8 socket and a
13/16 wrench.
wrench, and so
Alright.
that took it off.
You're never going to do if you don't have the pulley.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have the pulley. So that's the old power steering pump, which you would take back for your core deposit.
Right. It's easy to remove it, you know. So now you got the pulley off the old one, and since like I said earlier, since the new one does not come with the new pulley, you have to remove your old one and put it on.
Sure.
Now it does not fit like this. That same pulley remover that you actually got from the AutoZone, it also has the pushing, the reverse mode of it. So pretty much
So we're also going to change the thermostat. That's the thermostat housing.
thermostat housing, and pretty much you remove 2 screws, which are these 2 8mm.
8mm
They
screws.
go right here. You know,
Uh-huh.
you remove them. You take this apart, and you see, as you can see that's the thermostat right there.
So we're going to take, that's the old one. We're going to take the old one out.
So this one's gonna be kind of stuck when you actually try to remove it. You know, due to the age and the heating, it might get a little bit stuck. So pretty much what you gotta do is just kind of push it up a little bit from here, and then kind of clamp on this upward,
Just pop it out of there.
and it'll come out.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's the old one.
That's the old thermostat. Now we're just gonna put the new one in there. We're gonna actually just sand this off, you know. Sand this off real quick.
Is there a gasket that goes in there too?
Yeah, but it'll come with a new thermostat.
So yeah, you make sure that's clean before you put the new gasket on,
We
huh?
just gotta clean this up. See?
Okay, so that's all, we're ready for the new thermostat, huh?
Yeah.
It's really important to get all that crud off there, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can get the perfect closure on this. Perfect seal.
Now to get to the thermostat on these Lincolns, you go from from the bottom, right?
You gotta go underneath.
Go underneath.
And you gotta remove the AC compressor to get some. There's no other way. You gotta remove the AC compressor.
So to change the thermostat, you have to remove the AC compressor and all the components around it, or the hose around it.
The hose, you gotta remove 3 hoses. There's gonna be 1 for the heater hose, 1 for the radiator return, and the lower hose, and there's gonna be the upper part. This is the upper part you're looking at right here, you know. And there's gonna go for the pretty much the upper part of the motor.
Right.
So lower, it is placed like this. It says the front of the motor. It's placed exactly like this, just so you know. So you got 2 screws that will hold the assembly down, the thermostat and the thermostat housing. You put it back together. Heater, lower hose, upper hose. That's
Okay,
pretty
so
much
our next step is just to put the thermostat in there, and then we'll go to the next.
and put it back on
Okay.
with all my stuff.
So that's the new thermostat, huh?
Oh, so right now we're just putting the new thermostat in. See, there's the old one.
So you
Old
got-
one. It's
so you-
busted, worn out. I mean, you can't really tell. Like, you see this core right here is temperatured. It's set for a temperature to where it opens at a certain temperature. Say about 180 degrees, it will push down so the water can't flow. So pretty much when a thermostat goes bad, this coil will not react to the temperature it's supposed to. Therefore, it will make the car overheat.
It's such a cheap item that it's just better to replace
Yeah.
it. It's just a cheap item.
It's a cheap item now. The labor, depending on what you got, it may vary from
But any-
$80 to $250, depending again on the car that you have. Now, this is the new thermostat. You know, we're just gonna put it on there. We're just gonna close it down with some silicone.
You can put silicone on there.
Yeah, we're gonna put some silicone. Alrighty, here we go.
So we got a 2002 Lincoln we're working on. So you got, what kind of silicone is that?
We got the Ultra Grab Advanced Formula gasket maker. So it's
Okay.
just a prevention from this thing to ever leak, you know?
Sure.
I mean, we don't want no leaks or any bad.
Right. I mean, it's it's a very important item, but it's cheap, but it has to be put in right. You have to do
Yeah,
it right.
that's just to do it right, you know? You don't want to leak, or
Yeah.
you don't want to take this thing down because of a little drop.
Exactly. So that's
So
how you
this
put the
this will
silicone.
prevent, yeah,
That's
this
how
will
you put the
prevent.
silicone on.
Just put plenty of it all around, you know. It won't, nothing will happen. Again, nothing will happen
You
if,
can be a little liberal with it, huh?
yeah. And just put it a little bit chunky. Now,
The last thing you want to do is put it all together and have a leak.
yep. So it's
So-
best that you actually,
So that's the
Prevent.
other. That's the other part of the housing, which we've already sanded it down
yeah.
and got all the
You just gotta
gunk off of there.
clean it off. Make sure we get all the little dust off so the silicone could have a maximum performance.
Now you don't really only need to put the silicone on one side.
Yeah, only on one side. Pretty much. You know, as soon as you put enough on this side, it will even out.
So now we put the housing units together. Just put it together and. What's the size of the bolts that go in there?
8mm.
8mm bolts.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we're gonna push. Get these screwed in.
Now you've already have the power steering pump installed, right?
Yeah, the power steering pump, it's on.
It's on.
Now, before I put, what I had to remove again to get to the power steering pump was the AC compressor, the thermostat housing, the serpentine belt, and a couple covers that were by the side of the wheel, and then like little frame covers, you know.
So what is the last component to put? Is this thermostat the last one, or the air conditioning?
The last component to put on will be the air conditioning.
Okay, so,
So-
this one goes on before the air conditioning.
Before the air conditioning, you know, you got to put your power steering pump, then the thermostat housing with the new thermostat, you know.
Right. Okay, so you go power steering pump first, then thermostat, then your air conditioning components go back,
Yeah.
and then the belt, and that does it, right?
And that does it, man.
Okay. Now you can't over tighten these, can
Hand tight.
Yes, you can. You're supposed to do about 10 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds of torque. Now, if you're not used to the, like, you know, to the pressure, it's best if you do get a torque. For example, it would be,
you can get a torque wrench. I've heard people they get it tight and then maybe just one little more snug turn,
yeah, about a quarter more.
about a quarter
Well,
more. Yeah, I've heard that.
Right here. So pretty much, you see it's hand tight right there.
Right.
See that?
And then go
So-
one more quarter turn after that.
So now, that's it. That's it. Okay. So you see how at the end of your setup, you're gonna see how the silicone slips out of the edges. That means that it's actually sealing. You see that? All around. So that's where you gotta put enough of it, you know, so you can actually make that seal
Right.
That
That tells you
extra seal.
you did a good job
Yeah.
when it's
when it's actually pouring out the sides, you know.
right.